Sobriety Essays number 32.
The Steps in Me. Step 5. A foundation built on sand is built on sand. I have no idea who first said that, but it makes perfect sense to me. Step 5. Admit to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. The simple psychology put into a practical purpose by these early members of Alcoholics Anonymous still amazes me. The steps 4 through 9 come in parts of prepare and execute steps. Step 4, we prepare. Step 5, we execute. I have often wondered if the word admitted and the word acceptance are interchangeable. If I admitted to God, myself, and my sponsor, am I not in fact accepting both the things that have happened in my life and my participation in those happenings? I remember very well doing my first 5th step in the hospital with about 28 days sober in a tiny room with a man that I had asked to be my sponsor just a few days earlier, and I really didn't know him. But I wanted to stay sober more than I wanted to drink at that moment. For once in my life, I was doing what was suggested. I sat in that room and I talked to my sponsor, and my sponsor listened. Occasionally, he would ask a question, but always keeping on track of what I was trying to accomplish in Step 5. In one case, I talked about a man I had hated for 22 years. It was about an Army officer who had threatened me with a court-martial simply because I failed to say sir to him. 30 years ago, a court-martial could strongly affect your future employment in the civilian world. I hated that man for having that much power over the rest of my life. My sponsor asked me, had I learned anything from that officer? I said I only learned how I didn't want to be treated. My sponsor asked, had I ever treated my employees the way that man treated me? I said no. Then you learned something very valuable in life from that man. I quit hating that officer right then. He was no longer a power in my life. I remember my sponsor saying to me when we had finished, what was said in this room stays in this room. What you have given to God, let God carry. Then he took the 4th step papers and tore them into little pieces and dumped them into a trash can. We held hands and said the Lord's Prayer, and that was that. What a load was lifted off from my back. I look back on that time with my sponsor and remember he didn't say to me, he never said, Chuck, you were wrong. He did say, Chuck, you don't ever have to live that way again unless you choose. If you have carried the world on your back, as I had, it was a wonderful feeling of letting go and letting God. I got a new sponsor at 6 months, and that sponsor has been my sponsor for the past 6 years. I have developed a routine of doing a mini 4th or 5th step with him. When something in my past that I had not included in my first time around, I catch my sponsor 5 minutes before or after a meeting, and I get rid of the burden. Sometimes at night, just after I have said my thank you to God, and before going to sleep, I have that feeling of being comfortable and at peace with myself. That is the true joy of freedom.